34-year-old state assemblyman Zohran Mamdani is looking likely to become the city's first Muslim leader, its youngest in more than 100 years, and one who has openly described himself as a democratic socialist. All of which has some very, very excited, but also it's inspired Islamophobic attacks, a billionaire spending spree, and the threats from the president of the United States, who falsely labeled Mamdani as a communist. And in fact, Donald Trump has now publicly endorsed Mamdani's opponent, Andrew Cuomo, in the 11th hour. And again, he repeated his warning, though it really comes off as a threat, that the city will suffer if Mamdani wins. So this also shouldn't be the most surprising thing, because you had Trump saying on 60 Minutes in an interview that aired on Sunday,
it's going to be hard for me as the president to give a lot of money to New York, because if you have a communist running New York, all you're doing is wasting the money you're sending there. So I don't know that he's won, and I'm not a fan of Cuomo one way or the other, but if it's going to be between a bad Democrat and a communist, I'm going to pick the bad Democrat all the time, to be honest with you.
Of course, like any engagement, it wasn't official until he posted something to social media, with him writing that if Mamdani wins, he'd cut the city's federal funding to the very minimum as required, saying the city would have zero chance of success or even survival with Mamdani at the helm, then claiming that a vote for the Republican candidate Curtis Sliwa, who looks much better without the beret, is a vote for Mamdani, and adding, whether you personally like Andrew Cuomo or not, you really have no choice. You must vote for him and hope he does a fantastic job. He is capable of it. Mamdani is not. And then as far as Mamdani's reaction, he said, hey, congratulations. Putting out a post stating Trump endorses Cuomo with the caption saying, congratulations, Andrew Cuomo. I know how hard you worked for this. With him then also hitting back at a campaign event in Queens.
In these final days, what was rumored, what was feared has become naked and unabashed. The MAGA movement's embrace of Andrew Cuomo is reflective of Donald Trump's understanding that this would be the best mayor for him. Not the best mayor for New York City, not the best mayor for New Yorkers, but the best mayor for Donald Trump as his administration.
Now, as far as Cuomo, in a radio interview about a half an hour after Trump published his post, you had him saying that the president is right. A vote for Sliwa is a vote for Mamdani. That's why this election is up to the Republicans. But then also with that, you later had him denying that Trump's words actually amounted to an endorsement, and claiming he's not endorsing me, he's opposing Mamdani. And with that, you had him still claiming that he's the right person to stand up to Trump.
We need a mayor who can stand up to Donald Trump, who can get the funding that New York deserves, who can make sure the National Guard does not come to New York, because we don't need the National Guard, and I can stand up to Trump. Trump will go through Mamdani like a hot knife through butter.
But again, with all that said, right now, most money appears to be on Mamdani. For most of the polls, they've shown him leading by double digits. Though again, words are words, polls are polls, and actions are actions.
Hey, it's Joe from Georgia. Of course, I never try to hide my political leanings. As we know, I'm a Democrat. I've been chair of the Democratic Party here where I live. But here's the thing. I vote for good candidates. My first question to anybody is, are you a good person? It doesn't matter who you are. If you're a good person, I can probably work with you. However, what we're seeing today across the United States is a huge Democratic turnout in voters. And it's because we do see what has gone on in the past year. And folks, it's been a year since this election put us in the position that we're currently in. So Democrats are flocking to elections across the states today. New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Georgia, California. They're out there, folks, and they're making sure that their voices are going to be heard. Tonight, there's going to be huge Democratic victories. They're poised for victory. And you'll find that out if you just pay the attention that's coming out from the right. They're really upset about what's going to happen today. And folks, but what's got to happen is it's got to continue for the next year till the midterms. But Democrats are going to overperform today in ways that we've not seen before in an odd year election. And the reason because is, folks, we're in trouble in a lot of areas. We're going to have to put the brakes on this administration.
I watched Caroline Lovett's press briefing today, so you don't have to, and here's my overview. All right, she spoke for like 35 minutes. She mentioned Biden 14 times, and this was one of her opening lines. Democrats are intentionally hurting American families, workers, and businesses with this shutdown to fight for free healthcare for illegal aliens and to appease their radical left-wing base. It is a disgrace. This one's actually quite funny, and it's broken into two sections. First, her prepared speech, and then her answering questions afterwards. And I will tell you when I make the transition, but also know it'll come right after I insult her outfit. Okay, so right after lying about what the Democrats want in the shutdown, she says that all of the flight delays that are happening are the faults of Democrats, because if they would just open the government back up, then the air traffic controllers would get paid. But she tries to be like, but we love all the air traffic controllers. And then she almost gets it, but she's way off, because she says there's a group of hotels and casinos and convention bureaus who all signed a letter saying that we're not making enough money, and that makes us really sad. As if the American people fucking care that casinos don't make enough money. I swear to God, a letter written by casinos and hotels and convention bureaus is what she brought up as why the American people should care about this shutdown. It's fascism. Okay, I put this in my notes. I forgot my Biden counter at the top, and then she did a Joe Biden, and I immediately threw it back up, and then we got to 14 of them, so crazy. She throws out this line just being like, we need 5 brave Democrats to put country over party, even though that's what they are actively doing. And then she tries to casually throw out this line. She's like, in other news, tomorrow is Big Daddy's re-election birthday, where he got 80 million votes in all of the swing states and the popular vote. That we call sycophancy. I almost included this at the beginning, but it would have taken too long to go over. But she gives a list of the accomplishments that Donald Trump has achieved in his first 10 months, and they are as followed. He signed a middle-class tax cut saying no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security. Every American watching this right now, you to this day are still paying taxes on tips, overtime, and Social Security. If you can prove me wrong, I will delete my account and send you every penny I've ever made on it. She said he ended the southern border invasion of the Biden administration. I personally didn't know we were being invaded, but apparently we were. She said that he's doing the largest mass deportations in the history of the United States. Now, not only have Democrat presidents before him, that being Obama and Biden, done larger mass deportations than what he's doing right now, and you can just check that using the CBP data that's available online. He also bragged about how FDR, I think it was, did even larger mass deportations in the past. She said that he's taking on the drug cartels by blowing them up. That's the way that he's doing it, and she is totally good with that. She said that he defeated the Biden inflation crisis and that he is so pro-growth. But then she says also there is inflation. She says that real wages are going to rise. It hasn't happened yet, but they're going to, as an accomplishment that he's achieved in his first 10 months. She said that he ended the war on American energy and released American energy dominance. And her example of this, gas is cheaper. A little bit, but not really. He implemented powerful tariffs and returned you to working in factories once again. Now, she doesn't say you're working in factories once again. She just says we have manufacturing jobs, which is working in factories as a general rule. She says that we receive trillions and trillions of dollars. Now, this is something that other people in the administration just don't want to admit because they don't want to get sued later when they know that they were lying about it. But she has gone way past that point. She is willing to take whatever is coming to her after this. And you know what? Good for her. She said that he ended 8 wars and counting. Her words. She said that he ended the illegal DEI and returned us to a merit-based system and common sense. Now, of course, the merit-based system would be him being the most unqualified president of all time, and also then filling his administration with some of the most unqualified people of all time, because he already blew through all of the people who were willing to be somewhat sycophantic at the beginning of his first administration, and now he has no one left. She said that he kept men out of women's sports. Okay. And then she said he worked tirelessly, literally 24/7. So she either doesn't know what the word tirelessly means or doesn't know what the term 24/7 means. It is one or the other. Okay, and her shoulder pads were on full display today. I wrote in my notes, her blouse looked like an 80s suburban mom on girls' night throwback, which is probably how she lives her life anyways. Now to the questions. She gets asked, should Antifa be considered a foreign terrorist organization as well as a domestic terrorist organization? I don't know what reporter asked this, but I do believe they were trolling her to say, hey, it doesn't even exist as a domestic organization, but would you like to also put international sanctions on? And she was like, excellent question, we're looking into that. She also mispronounces Mamdani and then says that Democrats stand for nothing. She says like Ma'am Danny or something like that. She gets asked, hey, the president this morning said that he's not going to give out any SNAP benefits until the radical left Democrats open up the government, but you said yesterday that the administration is going to adhere to any court rulings, including the one saying that you have to give out SNAP benefits. What's up with that? And she goes, we're in the process of complying with the courts, but it's going to take a long time because the Democrats. And then later she says that he's referring to future payments, not the payments that are supposed to be made as a result of the court order. She says they've been very transparent with them illegally blowing up people in boats with no proof, and says that Trump says that the water is littered with drug dust afterwards, and that's all the proof you need. And I may have added that second part. Although he did say that, she just didn't say that he said that. A very smart reporter asked, hey, Trump was the one who signed the bill that said that if government employees are furloughed, that they would get back pay. Is he going to stick to that? And she says, I'm not going to answer that. And then she doubles down on that when pressed later, and then triples down by cutting off another follow follow-up question. And then she gets asked, what is Trump doing to open up the government? And she says nothing. He's just telling Republicans to change nothing. Basically, they're coming in with, we told them from the beginning we're not going to negotiate, and they're unwilling to back down. And then she will later in this press conference double and triple down again on the fact that they will not back down or make any concessions to the Democrats. Oh yeah, and then she says again, all we need are 5 common sense Democrats. Just look at John Fetterman. My God, is she out of touch. She gets asked about the fact that Trump already said this morning that the voting in California was fraudulent. What are you going to say about that? And she says, the White House is working on an executive order to strengthen voting, and that California is doing mail-in voter fraud, and that there is definitely fraud. That is a fact. And then she said she's happy to provide the evidence after the press briefing, which of course she's not going to do because she has none. And then she says that illegal aliens are voting because she is just the worst type of white woman. She uses the word any here. She says that any executive order that the president signs is legal within the confines of the law. Anything. Dude, this one was so hilarious. She gets asked, hey, Trump's first term phone got taken, and also they subpoenaed all of the phone records that he has. Do you have anything to say about that? And she goes, I swear to God, after having bragged about all of his accomplishments in 10 months, she says, it's the weaponization of the DOJ by the Biden government that is making this happen today. I swear to God, she says that. She says that we may be attacking Nigeria, but she just doesn't have any further announcements on that. But she wants you to know that the president is watching that very closely. And then she says, remember when the president celebrated Diwali? She gets asked a question about Prime Minister Modi, and she's like, the president celebrated Diwali with a bunch of Indian Americans. Hoofda. She gets asked about Secretary Duffy saying that some flights might be canceled or ground as a result of the lack of air traffic controllers. And she immediately goes into, well, if it wasn't for all the Democrats, we wouldn't have to be dealing with any of this. Oh my God. It's pathetic how whiny she is. She said that Americans need to call their Democratic representatives and make it very clear that they want the government reopened. I'm going to make my position very clear here as if I've not already done it 1,000 times. This government must not reopen until the Republicans are willing to negotiate on healthcare for Americans. Healthcare is a guaranteed right if you have a fucking conscience. And so you should also be fighting for Americans to have free healthcare, but the best we can do right now is subsidize. So let's at least get subsidized healthcare. Dude, this one is also hilarious. She gets asked, what is Trump going to do aside from posting on Truth Social? Is he going to go up to the Hill? Is he going to lobby with more people? Part of her answer, I swear to God, was keep your eye on Truth Social and Republicans just need to stay tough. She gets asked, why did Trump pardon some crypto CEO that he doesn't even know according to him? And she says that the White House takes very seriously their pardons. And then she says, he said he was going to pardon people who were prosecuted by the Biden weaponized DOJ, and he's just keeping to that promise. And she says that he ended the Biden war on crypto, which again, another war, I just don't remember it. This one, remember for later. She gets asked, what are you going to do if the tariff case doesn't go your way in the Supreme Court? And she says, we have a plan B, but it's definitely going to go our way. And then she says, of course, that Trump has brought in trillions of dollars with the tariff, which I will remind you again is just your money. And then she says that we're going to reduce the deficit this year by $600 billion. Just remember that for your records later. She gets asked, are we going to send troops into Mexico? And she says, I don't know. I'm going to make this very clear for every politician who's out there, even though this might help some Republicans. Unless you are really, really unsure and there is a slight possibility that you might, the answer is no. Are you going to send troops to Nigeria? No. Are you going to send troops to Israel? No. Are you going to send troops to Iran? No. Are you going to send troops to Mexico? No. It's so simple. And then finally, the last thing she said that was absolutely hilarious. She said that Trump is very well read. And one person to thank. This person says, freeloader of your content. Enjoy from Millie. They sent a book, Invisible Man. Thank you, Millie. I really appreciate it.
Have you heard this? I bet you haven't. This is off the hinges. Insane. Let me set down my tea. So a bunch of grocery stores got together and said, look, if you're on SNAP, come in, we'll help you because we understand you're not getting the food that you need to live. You, your kids, your grandparents, come in, we will help you. We will give you food. Trump sent them emails saying, do not do that. It is illegal. I command you not to help the people that are in need. And his basis for that was, it's illegal. It's discrimination. You are discriminating against the people that can afford their groceries, which to anybody with any kind of brain can look at that. Any kind of common sense tells you that's bullshit. It's called charity. You can discriminate on the basis of sex, color, creed, religion. You can't discriminate based on economic status. It's called charity, helping people that need help. It's called charity. Trump doesn't want that. He wants these people to suffer. He wants them to starve. Because for Trump and the Republican Party, cruelty is the point. It is the core of their being. And it is the core of MAGA. They love to hate. And so Trump sent out this email saying, look, you cannot help these people. And if you do, this is where he uses his tool that he always uses, extortion. If you help these people, I will revoke your ability to take SNAP and help your customers in the future. I will revoke that status. You won't be able to take SNAP stamps. Again, blackmail, extortion for cruelty. How screwed up in the head do you have to be to want to make people starve? Children, elderly, people that are in need. This is what the government is supposed to do. Help people. Do for people what people cannot do for themselves. And this makes me so insane that we have an administration that is gleefully doing this kind of shit and punishing poor people for the sake of punishing poor people. Again, cruelty is their core. What do you think about this? Okay. Comment below.
Hey guys, after Trump announced today that there will not be any release of the food stamp funds, it's been reported that now the contingency fund is empty. Yep, the contingency fund, which is a fund that has been set up for emergency in case like government shutdown, catastrophes. They have these like billions of dollars set aside. That fund is empty. Oh, you asked where did it go? Nobody knows. Yeah, it's trying to be. They're trying to get, I guess, documents and stuff now to try to confirm their this statement, but it is being reported by multiple news sources that their contingency fund is empty. Which, if that is true, and I severely believe it is, this is what happens when you put a 34 count felon in a position of power. This is what happened when you put a habitual criminal in power. Funds just start disappearing. Money just comes up missing. Nobody know where it went. Never happened under Obama. Never. Nobody came up with money missing or funds being depleted and nobody know where the money went. Never happened under Obama. But you put a privileged white man in there with the complexion for the protection, suddenly billions of dollars have disappeared. Yeah. So, Trump voters, y'all struck again. And every time I hear something that this man has done to the detriment of the American people, I'm going to be front and center with your ass to let you know what your work has produced. You voted this criminal in, and he's criming. He's criming like you've never seen crime before. To use one of his quotes. So, while I'm riding around seeing these thank you President Trump signs from these stupid Republicans and these stupid cult members, keep thanking them. All the way to the poorhouse. All the way to your grave. Anyway, that's all. I just wanted you guys to know the contingency fund has been drained, depleted, gone, zeroed out. That's all.
Oh, politicians keep weaponizing the word inflation. You have no idea how we get it and what the real crux of the matter is. Have no worry. I got you. Let's go to the board. Oh, I'm just going to set you right down there, okay? I'm just going to get the chalkboard. Stand by. Actually, you know what? Get a pencil. I'm tired of potato-like politicians and pseudo-economics majors defining the term just to confuse you so they can push their agenda. Inflation. A sustained increase in the price of goods and services over a period of time. Also important, all of this decreases your purchasing power, but I'm going to get to that in a second. Are you following so far? I really love the president to give this definition a go. See if you can keep up. Okay, so I have 4 key aspects that help build what inflation really is. I love a good point form list. 1, decreased purchasing power. Here's what it means. The cost of goods go up, you have the same money in your pocket. So, that cost of bread, remember when your mom used to say that chocolate bars cost 10 cents and now there's so much more money? Well, they're only so much more money relative to the money you have in your pocket. So if the cost keeps going up and the money in your pocket stays the same, i.e. no raise from those corporations that we're talking about, you have a decreased purchasing power. Everything gets harder. 2, broad-based increase in many goods. True inflation isn't just about the cost of chocolate bars, although that's really important to me. True inflation is about the broad cost of many different items at the same time going up as your pocket stays the same. We have a measurement for this called the Consumer Price Index. The inflation rate is measurable, so it's a percentage of growth compared to, again, the money in your pocket. Everything in the economy is relative. I want you to keep in that mind. There's a difference between the total money you have and what you can do with the money given any type of economic situation. And number 4, just so you have a full picture, because I like you to know everything that there is to know, deflation is the decrease of goods and the decrease of monetary value. Whew, that's a lot to take in. Are you good? Do you need to break? Go to the bathroom, grab a drink, come back and sit down for the second half. Now we're going to get to the causes. The causes that everybody likes to weaponize in order to serve their agenda. So I'm going to need you to pay attention. Number 1, demand pull. Basic economics. The demand is too high and the supply can't meet the demand. We want too many people wanting chocolate bars, not enough people making chocolate bars. I really want a 3 Musketeers. Number 2, cost push. This one's really, really important. This means that the cost of production has gone up, either because raw materials cost more, wages cost more, labor costs more, or a combination thereof. Psst. This is where the businesses push the cost of their increased cost onto the consumer. You. Number 3, built in. People just assume that costs are going to go up. So they assume costs are going to go up, so they demand more wages. As they demand more wages, cost goes up. And it's a vicious, vicious cycle of stupidity. And number 4, governmental, monetary policy. Everybody loves to blame the government on this one. Here's how it works. When the government wants to increase money supply, they decrease interest rates. So all of a sudden your interest rate drops off for your mortgage. All of a sudden people go out and borrow a lot of money to buy a house. Are you with me? Also, government tries to flood the market with money in times of crisis and need. Are you with me so far? Because people are really taking advantage of this one. Now, all of these things collectively cause inflation, but there's one I really want to focus on because I don't think it gets enough attention, and let's be honest, it's the cost push section. Take a deep breath for this one, guys. I mean, I do like to blame the government as much as the next guy, but we really need to look at corporations here. All right, on the corporate side. Number 1, once costs of products go up, do they ever come down? Ever? So when we're talking about the supply being in demand or the supply chains being broken and the price is driven up, do you actually think that in any case, in any scenario, a corporation lowers its price, or does this new price just become their new normal? Hint, the latter. Now here's the key nobody's talking about or nobody wants to do anything about. Why do the prices never come down? I'm going to tell you because right now we're in a new type, a new era of capitalism, which by the way I think is post-capitalism anyways, because we have the formation of monopolies. And when companies have a monopoly, there is no competition to give us the best price. There's no competition to bring down the price. The monopolies, all of those oligarchs, just get to now pick and choose what prices are going to be, sit back and usually blame government stimulus packages for the fact that they're responsible for a high level of the inflation. What level? Let me tell you. Studies have estimated anywhere from 53% to 60%. 53 to 60% cause of inflation is caused by monopolies and corporate oligarchs. So how do we fix this? A lot of people are like, well, what do we do? Now that the oligarchs have control over everything, what do we do? I'm telling you what we do. We have to install actual government policies to break up these monopolies. We used to like guys like Teddy Roosevelt, who busted trusts and monopolies. Now what we do is we crown these oligarchs as the winner of the game, monopoly being the game, and we pat them on their head and send them on their way and let them control our lives. You want to change inflation, you want to fight inflation, we got to talk about this 53 to 60% increase. That's where it's coming from, folks. And don't let any politician weaponize your intelligence or weaponize that word to have you voting for the wrong person when we should be talking to Walmart.